So here we have some examples of working with multi-step equations where we're mixing in adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing into one question before we can solve it. We have to do multiple steps. So we'll get right into the opposite operations style first. So we have two terms here. We have this plus 5 and then this minus 7k equal to 100. So we got to get the k by itself, so we're moving that plus 5 first. So we're going to move that plus 5 using the opposite operation, which is subtraction. So we're going to have negative 7k equals negative 100 minus 5, the opposite of plus. So negative 7k, when we simplify that, is going to be equal to negative 105. So there's our first step out of the way. And now we're down to just a one-step equation. We just have a multiplication question here. So we got to move that negative 7 over and do the opposite of multiplying negative 7, and that's dividing by negative 7. Dividing two negatives, that's going to be a positive, and 105 divided by 7 is going to give us 15. Now in the next example, the x is on the other side, and if that makes you uncomfortable, this is an optional step, but if this is weird, because we've only been working with x on the left side, you can move it over to the left side. So we could rewrite this as negative 3, 1 plus x equals 48. This is perfectly okay, and you'll get the exact same answer if you follow the steps correctly. I'm going to leave it on this side though, just for an example with it on the right side. But taking a look at this, we have this 1 plus x in brackets. We're multiplying that by negative 3. So because we're doing things in this opposite order, that means the opposite order of bed mass would say to do the stuff outside the brackets first. So we're going to do that minus 3 and deal with that first. So we're times, sorry, not minus 3, but times negative 3. So times negative 3 is got to move first. So when we're multiplying, the opposite's division, so we're going to move that over and divide by negative 3. And then I'll have that 1 plus x. I don't need the brackets anymore because there's no operations happening outside the brackets. 48 divided by negative 3 is going to give us positive and negative, that's a negative. And 48 divided by 3 is going to give me 16. So I have negative 16 equals 1 plus x. Now I have a one-step equation again. I'm taking that positive 1 and adding an x onto it. So I'm going to move that positive 1 over, that plus 1 over, and it's going to become a minus 1. So I have negative 16 minus 1 equals the positive x, or plus x, and so we can just put an x there. Negative 16 minus 1 is going to give me negative 17. And that's going to be my x value. Now if we take a look at this in the do-undo method, again, we always start with our variable. So we're going to start with our k. And what are we doing to the k first? Well, right away we have times negative 7. So we're going to multiply that k by negative 7. And then we have this positive 5 at the end that needs to get added on. So plus 5. And that is going to get us our negative 100. So if we reverse all this now, so that's our do again. To undo that, we're going to start with that negative 100. We're going to subtract 5, divide by negative 7, and that's going to get us our k value. So going about that, we start with our negative 100. We have negative 100 and we're subtracting that 5, so that's going to give us negative 105. Then we're going to divide that by 7, so we have that negative 105 that we need to divide by negative 7, and that gets us our our positive 15, and then that's our k value. That's what k equals, so 15 equals our k value. There's our answer. When we're doing these do and do, we always just, again, use that same procedure. Start with the letter and then work your way out from the letter in the order that you would work from the letter with these multiplications, additions, subtractions, and so on. In our next case, if we were to do this one, we would start with the letter. So starting with that x, you'd have to add the 1, because that's in brackets. And then you would take that result and multiply it by -3. So times -3. And that's going to give you an answer that would be 48. So that's our do. So if we undo that, then we start with the 48. We divide by that -3. We subtract that 1. And that's going to give us our x. So we start with the 48. We're going to do 48 divided by -3, which is going to give us our -18, or sorry, -16. And then our -16, we're going to subtract 1 from that. That's going to give us -17. And that's the -17 is what equals the x. And again, same answer on the other side.